Hello, and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. I'm actually not sure why I started out over on this field, I should say. I'll just start right off with that. So yesterday when we left off, I specifically left off on a power failure of one of the chemical reactors up here. And this guy was like all the way down at zero. It actually was a twofold problem. Did not take very long to solve, mind you, but the first of which was this whole little logic circuit actually working the way it's intended. Over here, this vacuum freezer had a maintenance issue, caused it to cause this guy to turn off, which then kills the MOX reactors over here. So good on the circuit. It's doing what's intended. As for the rest of it, though, this guy, whenever it needs power, because it does use more power than these MOX reactors can do, I am drawing a blank on... No, I haven't turned them all the way up to max, so I can get like 80,000 more EU per tick or so in here if I turn up the temperature on these guys, but I'm not too worried about it. Maybe I will at some point just to like min-max all that jazz, but over here, this thing only inputs power if if the reactors are running, this guy also toggles this bus on, and this guy gets power from the essentially main battery of the AE2 system. But this guy was not getting enough power, and that's because that main battery had too much going on. So let's hop over there real quick. Short flight. If we hop down here, we got this main battery. So wasn't yesterday, but the day before, I did put a energy hatch on here and a dynamo hatch over here, just so that the big battery is now also feeding this guy. Just as the rest of the system grows, it makes it easier to upgrade. I was giving it a lot of thought, and I think I have a plan to improve this, but that'll be probably, ideally I'd like to do it next week, but I think realistically it might be a couple weeks. We'll just see. I might just do it out of sheer annoyance later, because it is one of those where I gotta make sure I craft the right pieces first, and then kind of rip the band-aid off and almost turn off AE2 while I make my changes and all that jazz, or turn off a lot of my machines. And for example, while I was fixing something on here, which is, I don't remember what it was. I think I removed the energy hatch here, something like that. Either way, I had this block turned off for a little bit, and then I got a work call earlier, and yada yada. It basically took like 10 minutes or so, and I think I had 37 power failures that I had to run around and see what was up. So I know it is a pain in the butt if I have to turn this off for a long period of time. But over on this battery, even after I made that jumper backup power to over there, this guy was not taking in enough power. As you can see now, I am taking in over... I was excited because I hadn't seen, I guess this would be 8-digit power yet, that sustained. I think I saw a flash of it before, but now I'm taking in 12, and that is specifically because of this guy, the 64 amp energy hatch, which is coming out of a 64 amp dynamo hatch out of this guy. I did throw this thing into loose mode to run in loose mode instead of tight mode. As you can see, it's generating all sorts of power. I do think technically my flow, the way I have it going, might be wrong, because I just have it currently cutting off the machine whenever the power's actually full over here, instead of letting it wind up and wind down. But things that'll probably be addressed on future iterations of the setup, because this setup is basically my plan to get through the power through UV, and then as I transition from UV to UHV, I want to redo this whole area will become like archaic, and I'm gonna set up a new mega power, blah blah blah, and it'll be good because I want to do mass multi blocks. And I also threw this guy into loose mode as well, so that it's outputting more power just to keep the system going. Anyways, that was the power issue resolved for now. So today I did finish cleaning up that floor I was working on cleaning up yesterday over here. And what I did decide to throw down over here, I showed this yesterday. These are two circuit 24s doing all my wires. And then this guy is a circuit 9, which feeds into what my main like accomplishment for the day. I do still need to clean up the other areas, but honestly, I am kind of tempted to just run through this and just tear it all down and then throw all the patterns in 82 and see what ones like pop up as needed for like crafting, instead of like spending too much time working on it. But we'll see. That might also be kind of annoying too if I end up, I don't know. There's pros and cons. That'd be way faster, but you know. Anyways, so my main goal I decided for today for actual progression was to make the UV energy hatch, which at this time we've just crafted. Woo! That was not the quest I expected to pop up. Either way, that makes us technically officially in the UV. Oh, here we go. Yeah, the text submit, and then just gotta do one of these numbers. Boom. Alright, so we are officially in the UV age now because I have crafted the energy hatch for it. But there was a few things that went into being able to craft it today. So the first like major thing you need to make for any of the energy hatches is the superconductor of each tier. In this case, and as well as the voltage coil, both of which always require that tier's worth of power. So normally you have to I would normally make an assembler, UV assembler, like for ZPM I made a ZPM assembler, etc, etc. Now though, with the access to the multi-blocks, I've got this guy, and I think I am going to move all the superconductor recipes down to this block and just leave it up, just because if I make large crafts of energy hatches, it does bog down that main precision assembler I've got up there. So it might just be nice to have those separate from everything else. That way, if I'm crafting energy hatches, I'm not just like, well, can't craft anything for a while. But so I threw this block up here. My original multi-block assembler up here, however, hop up. I did change it from circuit 0 to circuit 1 because obviously circuit 0 recipes can still run in here. Circuit 1's for the voltage coils that's needed for a energy hatch. And if you don't know what I'm talking about there, UV energy. I don't know why I exited out of that. That would be these guys right here. These require circuit 1 of the current tier. So that was, and then the other part was the superconducting wire. But to get to the superconducting wire, I actually needed to, if we hop right here, craft the next tier of coil blocks. So I did. These are the electrum flux coil blocks. These weren't difficult at all to craft comparatively between the gap between Aquata alloy to trinium, where you essentially need to make sure you do the netherite line and then the prismarine line. To be able to make the universal insulator foil to make all the future tiers. In this case, it's just back to 2x wire mixed with the universal coil and then molten of whatever previous tier. I did actually craft a second set, so this is 52. I have 52 more of these guys. If we look up, yeah, they're right here. Because I do want to redo how I have the P2Ps up here to better utilize all these guys I have sitting around. Like, as you can see, as well as there are a few other just kind of random things I need to fix amongst all this stuff. But so I got these all done. The kind of funny thing though is for the UV superconductor, they're sneaky, because if we look at the superconductor base, right here when I clicked on it, it's like, oh, it's an LUV recipe. However, it's actually, to cool it, is a UV recipe, which is very sneaky. So my energy or my vacuum freezers are all currently at LUV. Technically ZPM because they're LUV overclocked. So I do actually need to go through and redo all these so I can, because I am going to want to start crafting a lot of UV energy hatches. However, I kind of brute force this one energy hatch because the first one I started working on upgrading was the mega freezer or mega vacuum freezer. This guy is on 2 ZPMs and overclocked now. But like all the freezers, these freezers, the freezers down below in my little passive area, and these freezers up here are all the way I feed them. I don't like have direct recipes to them. All of them just have a or dictionary card. Those ones aren't actually online because I ran out of channels. Or maybe, yeah. Why aren't these ones online? Oh, I was having power issues, so I made it so I can't feed into these. But if we look over in these ones, all of these have or dictionary cards and just ingot hot. So I mean, I do make sure to keep all the vacuum freezers on the network on the same energy tier, so I don't run into issues. But because I had already crafted those hot blocks, and then as soon as I finished upgrading the mega vacuum freezer, I threw those the hot superconductor base in there, and then just crafted out the one UV energy hatch. My plan for the rest of the night and like the start of tomorrow will be to finish upgrading all the vacuum freezers so they're on the same thing, upgrading or rearranging and fixing how I have my input hatchet or my interfaces done up here to better utilize all these Pyrolyze ovens. And then I'm not sure from there, honestly. I think if I have this, actually, there are two things I kind of noticed. So I'm I'm kind of mixed view of what to do next, but I did notice the mega apiary is now within reach of me. Unless I'm missing something, I'm pretty sure, aside from crafting 5 UV energy hatches, I believe I can craft this. I thought this was not going to be accessible to me for a while, which is why I was talking about using solar panels and these with these apiaries and stuff. However, that was all because I misunderstood the voltage tiers. And this may just be me being dumb over here, but I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I actually assumed it went UV, UMV, then HV, EV, and endgame goals, just like mimicking these tiers up here. However, it actually goes UHV first, then EV, IV, MV. So, I actually can, with a little bit of work, and I don't want to just keep brute forcing energy hatches by making sure the base goes into the right freezer. You can technically do it with like a storage bus and priority, but I want to do things right and not have to like keep, it's just better. Everything's smoother and feels better if you get it right. And if you're going to do something, you might as well do it right the first time. So yeah, I'll fix these, and then I think I'm going to look into crafting this guy and seeing what it's all about and how good it is. Because I know anytime I've watched a playthrough of this game, they only ever seem to have one of these. So this might be the end-all be-all thing for bees for me. Who knows? I'm real curious. But yeah, that's the plan for tomorrow. Anyways, I appreciate you for watching. I hope everybody has a good night. I am going to finish this up and get out of here. Goodbye.